Yes. Uh, welcome to come well into another doorway, another portal, another dimension, entitled "Am I as I am, as you are?" Today's episode we're going to touch upon what is the principle of what we all know, or what we all may have experienced at one point or another in our relationship or family. A thing called jealousy. Well, what is the principle of jealousy? Not how it makes you feel or how it makes you think, but what is the actual principle of what we know, relate with, and call and experience, called jealousy. Of course, you already know, if you're not familiar with this channel, the way we do things on here is I take it line for line and or doorway after doorway, and together, me and you walk down this hallway. So that we're here to understand principle. All the time, we're always here to understand principle. The principle of things, which means that, well, what do you mean by that? I mean, this experience which you may be experiencing in this envelope, in this embodiment, or this skin costume, or this flesh vehicle, it's first acknowledging the spacing gap, then becoming that spacing gap, to look back upon that which it became spaced and gapped from, to understand the principles of how it operates and functions. Without judgment, because judgment tends to block intelligence and keeps you stuck in the intellect. There's a separation, there's a difference. Understand this difference, and clarity will come about ultimately, eventually. So we're here to understand today's principle that we're touching upon is what is jealousy. What is it to be jealous? What is going on besides the person or the people or the thing that we may become jealous over, or jealous about? But what is this jealous thing? What is it? In principle understanding, not in a personal understanding, because jealousy can be really highly intensive, intensely, there's a word, personal. And it's meant to be that way for a specific reason. That's how it's designed, and that's how it is. But if, say, we were to create a spacing gap between this and that, put personal to the side and put principle over here. Now, when you're on the side of principle and you're looking at what is personal, what are you perceiving? So put your personality to the side. Put your whoever you think you are, the mirror, this image that you think you are, put that to the side and be just the thing which projects the image which you think you are. So be the essence instead of the presence, but be present within the essence, but just put the presence to the side. And we will go into what jealousy is from a understanding of principle, dealing with metaphysics and occult wisdom. Okay. The first thing you have to understand when dealing with jealousy, especially with the person. Recently I've been in the works of the spirit has me doing music again, so I've been doing the works of doing music and working on a few sounds and tracks, and as well as an album as well. And also have a music video, a couple of music videos coming out. And also a book as well coming out on Amazon pretty soon, and a few other platforms. So I've been in the works of a few different things, but I always make time to for how and who I truly am and what I truly am, most importantly. because that is what gives the freedom for me to do other things that my spirit may want to animate in within this flesh. But let me get back to the subject. So today's principle is, what is jealousy? And of course, the regular format for those that know and those I'm already on what this is about. Line for line, doorway for doorway, together we walk down this hallway. So let's touch upon the principles one by one. First and foremost, understand this before I get into it. Let me say this. You're not jealous of her or him. You never were jealous of him or her, because you can't be jealous of him or her, because him or her don't exist and never have. Okay, so we're going to take it from this point forward. The first line in doorway is a possession which makes you possessive. You become, you project, and you animate the very thing which it is. So if it's a possession, then you're going to project the traits of a possession, which is possessive. So jealousy is a form of a possession in some sort of way of understanding. You become possessed by this energy called jealousy. And when you become possessed by this energy called jealousy, you become possessive, and you take on and create this possessive nature of being. And you do according to that platform of how that functions and operates. So it's a possession just means something which takes you over, or something which takes the slot or the spot of you, and you become absent, or you become absent to that spot or that slot which you usually are in or find yourself within. So for some reason, one way or another, you came out of that slot and that spot, and as soon as you come out of that spot or slot, something comes in. Remember, this is a simultaneous reality, and whatever spot isn't filled becomes filled. So if you're here and possessive nature is here, as soon as you're coming out of that, something is simultaneously meeting you to step into your spot. And once you are out of yourself, you are lost within self. If this is the self to begin with and to end with. Okay, so it is a possession which makes you possessive. You become, you project, and you animate the very thing which it is. So if you become possessed, then you possess possessive qualities and possessive traits, and that becomes your very nature, until you claim your nature back and go back into the slot which you protruded from and derived from primarily. Okay. The next line in doorway is the word gel or jeal, Jeal, is also the word jail, which is Jail or Jail, pardon me. And that's also the word jewel, which is a form or process of crystallization or something being crystallized. So gel, when we spell gel is or jealous or jealousy, jealous is Jealous. So Jeal is also the word Jail, which means you jail yourself inside of this gel or this plasma, this orbiting plasma that you became a plasmic prisoner within. So jealousy or gel us is you gelling yourself or jailing yourself. So it's something that you jail yourself within. And it's like in a certain way it's like what they call that confinement in jail or something, self-confinement or something. But it's you are confining yourself within yourself. And you are crystallizing this reality of being jealous of him or her or them. And you create this whole gel-like plasmic reality that you become kind of stuck within, which is actually something of the mentality dealing with your subconscious mind and your emotional body and your feelings and so on and so on. And this all stems from not having control and discipline or knowledge of self to even be wise in circumstances, to have a certain kind of, to even develop, to create and develop a certain kind of control and discipline to keep yourself within yourself in order to navigate yourself and guide yourself through this reality at the most potent point of clarity and sanity. So, um, uh, the word gel, Geal, is also the word gel, like I just said, Gel. So Geal is also the word Gel, which is a gelatinous orbit of some sort, a gelatinous crystallization or gelatinous crystallized sphere or a boundary, if you were to say. So you kind of put yourself into this this gel-like boundary, and you can't find your way out of it anymore because that gel went to its next stage of formation, which became a plasma or a plasmic substance. Anything about DNA and blood, it's a certain kind of plasm or plasma or a plasmic substance, a gelatinous mold or a gelatinous molding, which why it affects a person's immune system and their nervous system because they actually incorporated this mind state or this way of being and seeing this reality into their true core of their DNA, which is why it becomes so much more difficult or much more challenging for one to come out of this possession because they thought this pattern, this wave actually formed into a gel, liquid gel, plasmic like substance because whatever you project out there is actually at the same time becoming in here. So the more you are a certain way, the more you're feeding that experience, the more you experience that experience, whether it was created or not, and the more deeper it gets in the core of your plasma within you, within your DNA. So as you're going out there, it's going in here. So you're not just going and projecting something out there, creating a wave or rippling pattern. As you're creating this wave or rippling pattern, you're going like this and it's going like this. Which is why even in martial arts you do this, or you do this, or this. Because as you're going out, you're pulling in. See? So it's a certain kind of push out, pull in effect. Or protrude and retrieve, or protrude and recede. So you think you're doing something on the outside, but you're actually doing more harm on the inside when you're stuck in this mind state and this emotional state called jealousy. Okay? So that's something to understand before we move on. The next line in doorway is the word jealousy also has the word lousy in it. Well, what is lousy? Lousy means very poor or very bad. Disgusting. This is what this means in the dictionary, understanding. So what that means is basically it's meaning gross. Disgusting means gross. And what is gross? Gross meaning accumulation and baggage. Gross matter. Because gross just means accumulation, a collection of some sort, baggaging or baggage. You're gathering things around your orbit. You're gathering things that are something around the true nucleus and core of your nothing or your nothingness. So it's making weight, it's making it heavy on you. It's a certain kind of collection or collections or collectings of spirits and possessions. A constant collection or constant collecting of toxic thoughts, creating a poisonous baggage, a self-poisoning biochemistry within the body. So you're not doing anything but accumulating toxic thoughts and creating a poisonous biology. And it's kind of like you're self-poisoning yourself. You're poisoning yourself. There's nothing poisoning you but you. So that's why I said it's a self-poisoning biochemistry, biological chemistry within the body. So this is what you're doing when you become jealous or find yourself being jealous and don't know how to stop that consistency of these jealous thoughts and these jealous feelings. You're creating toxicity within the body and a poison, which is basically a venom. So it's like instead of a snake with venom biting you, you are the venom biting on yourself and keeping yourself in this irritation, this aggravation, this confusion. So it's basically to be wise of what you're doing as you're doing it to yourself. Because the more wise you are to it, the more you are aware of it. But being aware of it is not necessarily the end all be all, because you have to have some kind of control of discipline. If you have no control of discipline, what is awareness? So these are just certain principles to incorporate into your own reality in order to overcome certain things that are not serving you to your benefit or the way you desire to serve you, or the way you desire to be served by these principles and these energies. Okay. So the next line in the doorway is, it is a certain kind of incapability. What is incapability? What is that derived from? A feeling of I'm not able or I'm not able to. I don't possess the blank to create that or do that or be that for her or for him. So basically, it's the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind was trained from hearing to hearing, you can't do this and you can't do that. That's impossible. You're crazy, etc., etc. So incapability is basically something which was taught to you or how you were trained from your parents and your upbringing. Something that stored itself within your subconscious mind that may have or may play an effect on your conscious mind. The conscious mind is you creating yourself in the moment. The subconscious mind is how you were created without your knowledge and without your say-so, without your right to be created a certain way. So this is the whole understanding of it and reflection and projection of your subconscious mind to your conscious mind. And from your conscious mind, you have to go back into your subconscious mind to unlearn and relearn again to be how you want to be. So you basically have to Frankenstein yourself. But these are principles, once again, of the jealousy that can have an effect on your moment to moment, day to day reality within the moment, within your liveliness or your livelihood, or being live, or being present, or being of the moment. Okay, so then these things, understand, that's why I said in the very beginning that you have to understand before we go into this that you're not jealous of him or her. You never were jealous of him or her. You can't be jealous of him or her because him and her don't exist and never have existed to begin with. You projected these people that you're in a relationship with. You created these individuals by the needs and wants and desire that you have within yourself. And you are a God within your own right, so you create your own reality, whether you know it or not. You're not bumping into these individuals by mistake. That's an impossibility. Because spirit can't bring nothing around itself but itself, because it itself is the only thing which is in existence. These are principles to understand. So like I said, you think you're meeting people, you're actually meeting pupil, which is why your pupil is black. It's God or spirit or the entity looking into itself through the different experience of another. But there is no another to that degree of understanding. So understanding this, there's nobody or no one to be jealous about, because there's nobody else in existence but you. And you are projecting these holographic beings, which you call my mate, my significant other, my wife, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my husband. You're creating these people or these anothers or others. See, and the word another just means an space other. So the word other means that it is you. It's just an other you. And this is the whole understanding of what we're going about to understand at its most basic understanding, that there is no one out there. There's only something in you, only what you truly are. Okay. The next line in our doorway is jealousy is also stands on the grounds of inferiority, a feeling of being tired or fatigued before you finish an intended task. So it's being or feeling inferior for some reason. Maybe you were weak and you seen somebody else who was strong or did something which you desired to do that wasn't able to do at the time that you were trying to do it. And this created a certain kind of chemistry and within you called inferior, being inferior or inferiority. So I'm just talking about the basic tadpoles or the basic foundation of what jealousy is and what jealousy stands on in order to create the structure of what we know as jealousy or being jealous of someone or something. So we're talking about the foundation. We're not paying attention to the structure because we know the structure, you know jealousy, you know what you go through, you know what you feel, you know how you're emoting. That's nothing new to me or you. So when we're talking about where does this stem from? Am I actually jealous over this person, or does these energies lie silent, hidden, and dormant within me that I created and developed subconsciously at some point that is really not about this person or that person or this person or them or her or him? So we're doing a full metaphysical investigation of what is this thing and an understanding of principle. Okay. So the next line and our doorway is, this is not going to be a long episode today. It's going to be short and sweet and brief. I got to get back to what I'm doing or whatever. Like I said, I'm working on other projects. The next line in our doorway is, jealousy is a lack of possessing, which is what I talked about before, possession. But when you feel anything dealing with possessing or possession or possessiveness or being possessive, this has nothing to do with her or him. This has nothing to do with your mate or your significant other or your husband or your wife. It has nothing at all to do with them. You projected them. They don't fully exist in that understanding. Them as a person exists as an energy, need, want, and desire within you. Understand that you projected them. Okay? So you have to ask yourself, this is all self-investigation of dealing with your subconscious mind, dealing with possession or possessiveness or possessing. Why do you feel, ask yourself this, why do you feel you need to possess things? And then once you figure that out, then you have to say, well, what was taken from you? What was taken from you which was of high importance to you? Because when something is taken from us that we feel is important or very significant to us, or highly significant to us, it's taken from us. So now we're trying to get back what was taken from us, which creates what we know as a personality of a possessive nature, or wanting to possess, wanting to become or being possessive. And then you fall into this nature of possession. And if you fall into this nature of possession, then ultimately you need a damn exorcism. And an exorcist needs to be present and exorcism needs to be performed. But I'm not talking about a person. It's you doing your own exorcism you doing your own exorcism on your own possession. But what do you mean by that? Another word for exorcism or self-exorcism is self-awareness. Your self-awareness, along with control, discipline, and action, the principles of control, discipline, and action, will pull you out of that exorcism, of your own exorcism, from being possessed by the thing we call jealousy. Okay? Let's get more into it. The next line in our doorway is, according to the ego, emotionally connected people that the ego or an individual is emotionally connected to, are punching bags and practice dummies. Things to become potentially violent with and abusive with, and things to vent out on. Basically, the understanding of this is the cold, hard truth of the matter is we all really are just gateways and doorways spiritually. So this is why the ego feels justified to release on people, to release its poisonous thoughts on and venomous actions within. So, because emotion is what activates the ego, or can it influences the ego to become activated. Anything that's emotionally close to you, or that you're emotionally connected to, and this starts to bring about the feeling body, and you become anchored in that mind state and that feeling and that emotion and those thoughts and that memory and that history. And the more and more you do that, the more and more you're getting in the past, and these things stuck in the past, which means you're never fully present. And if you're a present being to begin with, then your present beingness is in starvation. It's being neglected and abandoned. And when that happens, you start to become insane. And you may potentially turn into a psychopath in some way, in some form, at some time. Potentially, possibly, probably, maybe, might. Okay? So, once again, when this happens, according to the ego, emotionally connected people that you are emotionally connected to, knowing or unknowing to you, these people that you are emotionally connected to become like a punching bag to you, or a practice dummy to you. Things to become potentially violent with and abusive with, and things to vent out on. Because remember, even spiritually, you're always constantly trying to become zero. You're trying to become nothing. You're trying to come in contact with that true aspect and that true core of your nothingness spiritually. So how do you do this? You let go of things. You begin to recede. Like I always said, spirituality is about receding, or to recede. As you recede, layers come off. As you recede, layers come off. So sometimes the person who you are emotionally connected to become this catching of layers that you shed, or that come off of you in that moment of an intense emotional moment, which is why you become verbally abusive. You become physically abusive because you're trying to get everything out of you, but you're using this damn person as a bag, using them as a punching bag or a practice dummy, like I said. But these are things that you have to be aware of, because it can bring you harm and danger, just like that, easy, quickly, because you're dealing with another experience. You're dealing with the same spirit, but within a different experience, or another experience of itself, having its own private and personal experience. So these are things to understand as you move along and go along this realm, or this dimension of being and doing. Okay? Have control and discipline, awareness, and take action. Okay? Within the moment. Okay? Next line in our doorway is you projected a practice in order to enhance something within yourself. So this person also is known as a practice. Not a practice dummy, but something to practice on in order to enhance something within yourself. And yes, this person may get the worst of you. No, may. It's not a guarantee. It's not a definite, but it's a probability. It's possibly. It may happen. It may go down. You know what I'm saying? It may go down. I'm just saying. So it's like, but as long as you become aware of this, and remain aware of it, and have some kind of control and discipline, like I said before, you are the one that can stop a thought from becoming an action, or a thought from becoming an action. You are the gateway. You are the doorway, which allows permission for things to be, and allowance for things to be, or denies permission and allowance for things to cross over and be. Okay, so You're a bridge in a way. And that's one of the other videos I'm going to touch upon probably next month sometime or the month after. It's going to be called What is a Bridge or What is the Bridge? And you are a bridge. You are the bridge. The bridging or the crossover or the crossing over from one reality into another, one dimension into another. And you control that bridge. Okay? You say what goes and what doesn't go, and what returns, or what protrudes, or what keeps going. Okay? So, entities are something, like I said, these entities are nothing but silent, dormant, latent, hidden energies within you. Okay? Like the one right now listening and watching this video, you are nothing but something which I projected. And that's why you throw comment or get in touch with my email or give feedback, because you're something within me which I have to address and confront within myself. Okay, so let's go back to the topic of jealousy, what we're talking about at the moment. Okay, the next line in our doorway is waiting to be only or the only, wanting to be number one. At the same time in your past experience, you felt you were put on the back burner or ignored or neglected or abandoned. From this created and developed mindset, you start to perceive yourself as something special. Then self-importance, then self-grandizement begins, and so on and so on. It begins to multiply through each experience being experienced. So, through this whole point of, you wanting to be the only, this is also dealing with selfishness. You want to be the only one in their vision. You want to be only wanting to be number one in their life. And these are things that, your past experience, these are things that happened somewhere within your past experience, somewhere which embedded itself and stained itself within your subconscious mind experience. So at some point, maybe you had a bigger brother or older sister or cousin or somebody or friend that something happened for them that didn't happen to you, was desired to happen to you, but it didn't happen for you at that moment. So you felt you were put on the back burner, or you were ignored, or you were neglected or abandoned for some reason. And from this created and developed a mindset that of starting to perceive yourself as special or self-importance, and you create this grandizement, self-grandizement. And this plays in a relationship as wanting to be the only one that your girl sees, or want to be the only one that your man sees. Your woman sees that your man sees. You want to be the only one that your husband looks at. You want to be the only one that your wife sees in their life. These things are not them, even though they may be attractive in certain ways and this and that. You may be, turned on by them, and you may appreciate them to a high degree, but it's really not them, which you're jealous of, which you want to be the only one in their life. It's not them. It's something that sits deep within your subconscious mind that you have to address and confront. First, you have to be aware of it, then address it, then confront it, and then neutralize it in order to make it a mutual energy within yourself. And once that's done, you cancel out both sides, and up comes you. It's the whole point. It's the whole understanding of this. So, once again, like I said, it's something to be aware of. Okay, principle mode. Everybody stay in principle mode. We're dealing with a subject which is jealousy, which means that this conversation can become highly emotional within you if you don't know how to put judgment to the side in order to take in the message and to enhance the intelligence within yourself. Okay? The next line in our doorway is jealousy gets you further and further away from yourself and keeps you further and further away from yourself. So first it gets you further and further from yourself, and then keeps you further and further from yourself. So it gets you there and it keeps you there. And keeps you further and further from yourself. It's a state of mind that creates space, gap, and distance from your true nature of being and your true nature of beingness. So one thing that we know, jealousy, what is jealousy? What's another principle of jealousy? Jealousy is space, gap, and distance. It keeps you further and further from yourself, and at that point where it kept you further, or where it gets you further and further from yourself, it also can keep you there. Okay, so something to keep in mind in case you want to know what jealousy is a principle. Okay. The next line and or doorway is it's like crack and or heroin for the emotional body and mental body. So it's like crack and or heroin. It's like a drug. It's like an addiction. It's like an obsession. You become more and more fixed in this illusion of jealousy. The more you participate in it, the more you give it your attention to participate, the more and volunteering it, the more you become addicted and obsessed with it. Addicted to it and obsessed with it. So it's like a certain kind of high. It's like a certain kind of drug. It's like a crack and a heroin. But what is like a crack and a heroin too? It's a crack and heroin to the emotional body and mental body. And even when you deal with understanding what the mental body and emotional body is, if you want to understand this in age and numbers experience, um, according to Hinduism or yogis or guru or understanding of a guru or how they deal with certain things, dealing with the body and the being, um, the emotional body is created from 7 to 14 years old, and the mental body is created from 14 to 21 years old. And when you understand that understanding with the understanding of chakras, or because chakras is nothing but melanin clusters, centers of melanin clusters, or black holes. And you understand that with this chakras, you have 7 chakras according to understanding the chakras is 7. So they say. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Every chakra is symbolic of 7 years. So even that coincides with the understanding of Hinduism or dealing with the understanding of what yogis contain and gurus understand about certain things. So they're saying from 7 to 14, the emotional body creates, and from 14 to 21, the mental body creates. So it becomes more potent or more enhanced or expands in one's experience, um, or it becomes more activated in one's experience. Um, so first, second, third chakra, according to that, is from the first chakra is from birth to 7 years old. The second chakra is from 7 to 14 years old. The third chakra is from 14 to 21 years old. So this is when you can tell where someone may be stuck at in their chakras. The root chakra, you know, you got the sacral chakra, the root chakra. Um, uh, can't think of it at the moment. But that is the matter of fact, the root, then the sacral. So I mean, but you have these understandings of where somebody may be stuck at, regardless of how old they are. So they can be 40 years old, and if they're stuck in their emotional body, then they can be 40 years old, stuck in between their years of 7 to 14, somewhere. See, so um, know how to acknowledge and be aware of your chakras and acknowledge them by acknowledging your own mentality and your own emotional body and feeling body, and knowing how to go back into yourself in order to make that correction. Okay, to further yourself in clarity and balance. Okay. Um, the next line in our doorway is only 2 more, 3 more basically. The next line in our doorway is it creates a gel. Jealousy creates a gel. Then that gel or gelling turns into a glue or a gluing. A glue and or gluing to your mind and body, and a glue and or gluing to another or the other. You begin to get lost in another entity when this happens, and when this happens, you will pay for it spiritually. Trust me. It's real. So, being jealous, you create a gel. Then that gel or gelling turns into a glue or gluing. A glue and or gluing to your mind, and a glue and or gluing to your body. Also a glue and or gluing to another or to the other. So you begin to get lost in another entity, and you begin to get lost within yourself. So tell me, how do you become found? If you're losing yourself within yourself, which is primary, and then you lose yourself within another, which is secondary. So you create 2 different gels or jails or imprisonment or crystallization of yourself. And you don't have a key now. So what is the key? Key is also chi, and chi is energy. You have to get back into that energetic state of being in order to unlock yourself back out into reality. Okay. There's only two more doorways. The next line in the doorway is to be jealous or jealousy. It is pro-cycle or pro-cyclic, which is pro-circle. In other words, it is pro-habit or pro-routine. It's like a dog chasing his tail. And the word tail, which is T-A-I-L, is also the word tail, which is T-A-L-E. With the word tail, T-A-L-E, meaning story or something within story form, which is something of past tense, because a story is made, which means that it was already made. It's of the past. So basically, you are remaining stuck in a past story or old mental dialogue. See, and voice, words, and dialogue tend to echo. And your skull is a cave, which it echoes within. And the brain is a plasma or muscle, which it becomes embedded within and deeper within the more you are repetitiously involved in that play of your mind and your mental dialogue. Okay, last but not least, jealousy also, the next line in the doorway is, the last line in the doorway is, jealousy is also something which divides. It divides you from yourself and it divides you from others. You being jealous of him and her or them divides you from him, her, or them, or it separates you or keeps you detached from the him, her, or them. So it's something which is separation, detachment, and division, or being divided from someone and or somebody or some people, including yourself. So this is the principle for today that we touched upon, entitled jealousy. And like I said, it's something to keep in mind, in consideration, to keep in mind in the heart, and to consider maybe going about your reality and your experience a different way, in order to create a different result, and a result which serves you, which benefits you to your own given purpose or to your own creative purpose, so which you have how you want to be, who you want to be, and what you truly are. Am I as I am, as you are, just as you are. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, I'll keep you on vision. 1, 0.